Borada, thank you for joining our Year 6 Remembrance Day Assembly.
1940 is an important year. It is important not just in UK but across the world.
1914 is remembered in France, Germany, Italy and Austria, Russia, Turkey and India.
It is remembered in Africa, the Caribbean, Australia, New Zealand and in the United States and Canada too.
1914 is the year that World War I began. People called it the Great War.
Over 100 years have passed since 1914, but we still remember that war.
Today we call it World War.
We stop, we think, we take time out of our lives and bring to mind those people who fought, suffered and died in that terrible war 100 years ago.
We also remember the people caught up in World War II and all the other wars that have happened since then.
But what does remembrance mean?
Remembrance is not a word we use every day. In everyday life we say we remember something like a friend's birthday.
Things around us help us to remember people or places.
Old toys or clothes remind us of who gave them to us or why we liked them when we were younger.
Photos remind us of a party or maybe a holiday.
Songs also reminded people of the past. We'd like to sing 2 songs for you that were popular during the Great War. It's a long way to Tipperary and pack up your troubles.
It's a long way to Tipperary. It's a long way to go. It's a long way to Tipperary, to the sweetest girl I know. Good up your trebles in your old kit bag and smile, smile, smile. While you Lucifer to light your fag, smile boys, that's the style. What's the use of worrying? It never was worthwhile. So pack up your trebles in your old kit bag and smile, smile, smile.
Songs like these brought people together, and now after so many years we do the same by remembering.
That is why many people wear poppies as November the 11th draws near. The poppy is a sign of remembrance. We say coffer in Welsh.
It shows we have not forgotten the sacrifice made by those brave men and women.
This is how we remember.
We will remember. Soldiers starving, ravenous hunger, soldiers trudging, mud squelching, soldiers' minds flooded with fear, soldiers scared, fighting for their life, soldiers silently scream.
Fiercely sounds of bullets shot, loudly sounds of shells dropping like a meteor, noisily sounds of tanks rumbling past, clearly sounds of soldiers screaming, quietly sounds of fear.
Poppies dancing along with a wafting breeze, poppies standing tall for those who lost their lives, poppies symbolising remembrance, poppies raising money for the brave people who died for our country.
Poppy, poppy.
Poppy, poppy, what do you say?
Wear me on Remembrance Day.
Poppy, poppy, what do you tell?
Many soldiers in battle fell. Poppy, poppy, what should we know? That peace on earth should grow, grow, grow.
Scared soldiers screaming while booming black bombs fall down like heavy rain, mud squelching underneath them.
Soldiers' minds flooded with a wave of fear, bombs crashing down while soldiers run away, poppies swaying calmly in the distance, loud ear-splitting sounds of more and more bombs exploding.
This is why we should remember the 11th of November and all of the soldiers who risked their lives and died for us. We should always wear a poppy to show that we remember.
Remember the 11th of November 1918. Bombs are lighting up the sky. The messenger pigeon flapping its wings like a machine gun. I pray every night that I will survive. Remember the innocent who lost their lives, other soldiers going to war, reading secret letters. I wish I didn't have to do this anymore.
Remembrance Day poem, World War I. Bombs released by big red planes, and suddenly soldiers are shot. The terror on the soldiers' faces as tanks eat up the battlefield. Legendary weapons have killed people one by one. Emotions. Families are sad. Their friends and family lost their life for a better future.
There are two special days when we remember all those who suffered in war.
Remembrance Sunday is Sunday nearest to the 11th of November. Tachwedd Unfed Adeg.
You may have seen news reports about Armistice Day on television.
Some of you may have been to gatherings or church services on Remembrance Day.
November is the 11th month of the year.
And it was the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month that World War I ended back in 1918.
Unfed Adeg, Unfed Gwynad Adeg, Unfed Nis Adeg.
At 11 o'clock on Monday morning, the guns fell silent.
Every year, Remembrance Day reminds us of this moment.
At 11 o'clock on Remembrance Day, there is just 2 minutes silence. Ours is not a silent world. There is noise all around us, so silence is special.
Silence, however, is good for remembering.
It helps us to stop thinking about what is going on right now or what we are going to do next. Silence gives us time to reflect.
On the first Remembrance Day in 1919, people gathered in cities, towns and villages to remember all those who had fought in World War I.
It is also known as Armistice Day. An armistice is a ceasefire when the shooting in a battle stops.
People wanted to remember this war because it was so terrible.
Soldiers, airmen and sailors often get forgotten when peace comes.
But after the 1914 to the 1918 war, people did not want to forget.
They wanted to remember.
On Remembrance Day, we remember soldiers, servicemen and women who died or were wounded. Many soldiers in World War I were very young.
They were still teenagers, the same age as some of your big brothers when they left their homes and families. Many were killed, even more suffered injuries that changed their lives.
Families lost sons, brothers, fathers, uncles, and made people very sad.
Remembrance is about understanding how we cope with sadness and loss.
Many people wear poppies, known as pabroi in Welsh, on Remembrance Day.
This is why we wear them. The story of the poppy video. The story of John McCrae and in Flanders Fields.
Why we wear a poppy. In the town of Ypres is where a huge battle happened in World War I. A young Canadian soldier called John McCrae saw how red poppies grew and was inspired to write a famous poem called In Flanders Fields. In Flanders Fields. In Flanders Fields the poppies blow, between the crosses row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky the larks still bravely sing fly, scared heard amen the guns below. We are the dead. Short days ago we lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow. Loved and were loved, and now we lie in Flanders Fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe. To you from failing hands we throw the torch. Be yours to hold it high. If you break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep though poppies grow in Flanders Fields. The poem In Flanders Field became popular, and the poppy became a symbol of remembrance. The First World War ended on the 11th of November and on the 11th hour in 1918. It lasted 4 years from 1914 to 1918. On the 11th of November, people respect the fallen by having a moment of silence. This day is known as Remembrance Day, Armistice Day, or Poppy Day. After the World War, people sold paper poppies to raise money to help ex-servicemen. When the poppy factory first opened, all the poppies were handmade by just 2 ex-servicemen.
So for poppy sows we remember.
We remember a war that began 100 years ago.
We remember people caught up in other wars all over the world.
We remember that good can come out of bad and enemies can become friends.
Remembrance Day is a time to be sad, but it's also a time of hope.
The hope of a better, more peaceful world for everyone.
I don't know if any of you have met any veterans who have fought in wars, but there is one thing you may have noticed if you have. Very few of them talk very much about their war experience. They say very little. In fact, they're almost entirely silent on the subject. The important thing is not the war stories they tell, but the war stories they don't tell. Have you ever noticed that? It's easier to say nothing because what you experienced is too big for words. Silence can be a sort of language, and often it's the only language that can do justice to big feelings or memories or experiences. Every year on Armistice Day and Remembrance Sunday, when we hold a special silence, it's this kind of silence that we're trying to hold. When we started, we were silent for 1 minute so that we could focus on giving thanks for the victory of war. Later, this changed to 2-minute silence so that we could focus on all those people who didn't come home from the war. Silence is the true language of remembrance. But there are 2 kinds of silence. One kind of silence is frosty and awkward and mean. We say, "He isn't talking to me." And this kind of mean silence is like shouting, "I don't like you, we're not friends." This kind of silence can happen between nations too, and often happens just before violence. Guns and bombs are used only after the talking has stopped. But there is another kind of silence. This silence is calm and comfortable. It's the silence when you're playing with friends and you don't have to talk the whole time because you're playing together. We don't have to talk to share how we feel. We understand each other. This sort of silence is the one we use on Armistice Day. We stand together in silence so that we can honour what has happened, to take a moment to remember what other people have done to keep us safe. We know that we don't need to sing another song or tell another story. Just for these 2 minutes, we hold our tongue, let the language of silence show the respect we have, and we're present together. This type of silence is very human. Being able to be silent together helps us have fellowship and community with the people around us. And while we're silent together, we remember those who have lived and died to protect us. And we think of the world ahead with hope for the peace that everyone wants. Silence, you see, is often the only language that can do justice to the feelings, the memories, and the experiences that they've had. When we stand in silence, know that when we remember the past, and that can be sad, we also think of the future, and that gives us hope. We don't stay stuck in the worst moments of the past. We allow the knowledge of the past to build us up for the future. We honour the fallen and raise them in our hearts, but we also make a promise to live lives worthy of their sacrifice. Jesus knew the power of remembrance when he took a loaf of bread and blessed it and shared it with his friends. And he gave them wine to drink, and he told them, "Do this to remember me." From such simple things is the kingdom of God made. So this year, it's our duty to keep our silence, to show our respect for all who have given their life, their health, or their youth in the cause of peace. We honour them and remember them. And in our remembering, we vow to live our life with honour. We promise to work for the good of humanity and to do whatever we can to live honestly, kindly, and lovingly with the people around us, doing the very best we can to be thankful for the peace and freedoms that we enjoy. This year, we stand in silence, we remember, and we hope.
They shall grow not old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them,
nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
Please join us in a moment of silence.
Thank you for sharing this moment with us. We will now say our Welsh prayer.
Ein tad a mae ffrindiau diolch yn fawr, a mae'n hysgol diolch yn fawr, a mae'n teuluodd diolch yn fawr. Diolch i'r Bopeth dda, amen.